welcome back. We are in it for a banger of a match between Beasty and Louie. You can see it here. It is me, Winston, and we are joined with LoueMT, and we're going to be casting this wonderful set.
We do see that those guys are clicking the buttons real fast, and ladies and gentlemen, that means we're going to hop on in. Guys, game one, Beastyqt versus LoueMT. The boys are ready, and they are going to be fighting it out. Now, with Beasty on Zushi's legacy, I know that he is not as confident on his China and Zushi as most of the other players are.
That's interesting. I mean, we've seen some variations where Roos is delaying a bit, Prof Scouts a bit for some early defenses. Against Zushi, I don't think you need to do that. So in this context, I think maybe Louie is able to just really rush professional scouts, and we just have a real race on our hands. On the other hand, maybe Louie has some other strategy. I mean, we've seen some players even opting, like Beasty, for example, in his game against Sanatan, he opted to even skip Prof Scouts altogether as French, which was a bit surprising in the moment, but it really panned out for him. So maybe Beasty has an idea here for that, but to me, there's almost no way of that. It's such bread and butter for Zushi. So there's no shot, but like maybe, you know, there's always surprises awaiting around every corner.
Now, this is a map that we do usually see Pro Scouts on it. Now, considering Pro Scouts, we want to look at those deer positioning. We see Beasty's deer there in the north side, behind his base, technically, and his deer on the opposite side as well. Pretty close to the edge there, which I would say is a pretty good spawn, because usually if your deer's on the same side as it is on Louie's side, that one is pretty close to the TC. But at the same time, if Beasty is able to shut down one side, he shuts down both. Well, on his side, he is going to pretty safely be able to head to the other deer if he is under siege from the one side.
Yeah, and if the builds are what we're expecting, there aren't going to be a lot of units to really contest the Prof Scouts just right away. So that first northern one for Beasty and maybe even that southern one for Louie, it's probably going to be, or sorry, the one to the right for Louie, those are probably going to be pretty easy to get. And of course, Louie as Roos is able to get that second scout out, which is really nice for getting the sheep. So it's one thing we want to check, you know, as the map has largely been explored to see these sheep counts.
Now, we do see that Louie opened with 2 scouts, though. And as our producers are showing us there, he did get, that was 8 extra sheep, I guess. It does not feel like you had a 2-scout opening, especially when you see that opponent of yours having so much more. So that scouting pattern not paying off for Louie just too much.
Oh.
Beasty is going. Let's go see that juicy spot. Juicy spot on the double gold. Is he going to take it with a lot of trees?
The berries, yeah.
The berries. Oh, he's going to get golden berries. That's pretty nice. He does only get 1 gold in that range, but
it's a decent number of trees.
Yes.
It's like kind of surprisingly a lot. You'd think you need a forest, but there's a lot of just of the random interdispersed trees there that really contribute a lot there. We'll see the actual numbers later, but I mean, at this point, Jushi's like main potency isn't really getting the optimal meditation guns every game. I think, you know, with both the nerfs to the building and also as time has gone on with the power of Prof Scouts being a lot of the power of the Civ right now, it's been less impactful. Like, oh, I have to get this super OP position, which is why we used to see the Civ on stuff like Holy Island, right, where there were very often, you know, triple mines and a berry, and that was like, oh, just getting that is enough. Now, no, it's like the Prof Scouts play is really what kind of pulls it together, and he's got all the core resources there: gold, stone, food, like, sorry, gold, wood, food, all you need.
Yeah, usually with Zushi, especially on a water map, you do see that meditation garden on a stone just because it gives you that extra bit of oomph. But with this one as well, you're already securing a little bit of food. With it being on the berries, I feel like food has been such a prominent position for most players to pivot from. And like you said, Zushi, a civilization that's really good at pro scouting as well. It's not something that you would want to prioritize by getting an extra gold mine in there too. Now, Louie, he is already a little bit aggressive with those scouts. Beasty now getting that stable up already. So scouts will be coming underway. But now the real question is the aggression that comes out of Beasty in the Feudal Age. Does he just go and get as many scouts as possible on this map, ensuring that he gets as many deer there? Or does he actually try to do a little bit of a play to shut down the pro scouts from Rus? Because the map is a little bit smaller. It does feel like when you do send your units out, there's not as many opportunities for you to intercept.
Yeah, I think with the positioning of Beasty's back deer here, I think he might just be thinking if he can trade even, it's fine. Now with the addition of the stable, he could add a few horsemen. We likely will see that, but not necessarily. Sometimes we've seen players, you know, opt into earlier ranges here as Jushi just to get a bunch of Juju going. There's lots of different kind of styles here at that point.
And he was supervising the stable as well to get those scouts out as quickly as possible. We see Beasty's Pro Scout finishing just a bit earlier than the Rus because of that supervision bonus that they have. Now, professional scouts finishing up for Louis pretty soon as well. And we'll see if he tries to just play the safe, pick up his own deer. It does look like those scouts are in position. Beasty has been a little bit annoying by killing those deer, ensuring that Louis needs to go individually click on those. And I mean, this is such a small play at this level that makes a massive difference because it forces you to constantly re-click those deer that you want to go and pick up. And Beasties are already on the way back, and he's already made some other units to join that party as well.
Yeah, the Horseman Spearman just trying to get across the map, I guess, with these. Just get across the map quickly. He's even supervising, I think, the Spearman out. So he's going to have quite a lot on the field here. It's an important opening. I'm not sure how much value this is going to get. I mean, that first deer pack on the north of the northern one of Louis 2, that's already going to be mostly gone by the time he gets here. The one on the south might actually get denied, which is a pretty big deal considering that Louis hasn't invested in units just yet. He's going for the archers, which are going to be much slower to ever denying. And you saw Beasty, he's sort of walling off the north, but he also started with the pack far, far away. And kind of recognizing that Rus is going to be a little bit slower to units could have been a smart play here, because now he's going to get these deer for free almost, right? This is the starting, and he's able to deny his opponents, but it's not perfect here for Louis. We're going to see Knight Archer, just a really solid composition all around. We see this kind of the bread and butter. We've seen some players so far in this tournament overcommit to the Knights with Rus in Feudal Age, and that has been part of the problem. We've also seen players overcommit to the Castle Age too soon, and maybe they should have made more Knights, and that is also part of the problem. There's definitely an issue here for Rus where they're just not able to produce enough units quickly enough to really compete with civs like Jushi here, where the production speed is just absolutely insane with the supervision, and Beasty's been doing this quite well. He's already got 3 officials, of course, so really able to do that, and now he's pausing production, and I think we're going to see a pretty fast castle time behind this. And relic positioning, like, is, yeah, dead even. This map is pretty consistent, right? So, yeah, curious spots here. I mean, the Knights are going to do pretty good at defending the archers.
The problem is just it goes into castle, and Zushi's Castle Age, I feel, is just so difficult to deal with. You're not playing against a civilization that is sitting back like, oh yes, I need to get upgrades. This is good. No, they have supervision. They upgrade at the speed of light. They're going to make lances go straight at you. And the units that Louis has, those units don't deal too well with the lancer variety. Yes, you've got a few chunky knights there in the front lines, but you are going to be stuck making units. When you as Rus, you're a civilization that you're used to being able to just go for castle yourself. You've now spent all that OP gold, as people would say, for Rus to just make knights instead of heading towards where people usually want to be. And those deer, they are being dropped. They're not all making it back to base. This is going to be a problem if you need to keep that production going strong. So with him having 2 knights in the queue, you guys can see the gold is used up. Every single time he has it, he just keeps making more. And Beasty, already in Castle Age now, instantly queues up that Lancer, which is going to mean that Lancer is going to make this fight a lot harder. Louis, though, he's doubling down. He's getting more knights in the queue, but the archer production has been stopped as the wood is slowing down. I wonder if he's just selling it already.
He might be selling wood. I think we're going to be seeing a situation here where the castles are going to be too far behind. The question is, will Beasty even get a good fight before Louis has upgrades? I don't think so. Looks like Beasty's kind of playing a little bit slower here, maybe. He's not really running forward with his first Lancers, so it looks like Louis should be able to just back up, get his upgrades, and see his own transition. I think we'll see Veteran Knight here, but I'm not sure what we'll see besides that. Maybe Vet Archer in this context. There's only 10 archers to upgrade. We've seen Marine Lord just making loads of archers in all of his games, so maybe that's something Louis is going to be doing as well.
The high trade house does get rushed up with 13. He wants this, he wants it now. Because there was also a timing here for Beasty where he realized, okay, my opponent has been investing in military. I probably cannot just run into him with 1 or 2 lances. I have to wait for the numbers. But the moment Louis ages up here, this is when Beasty gets that warning sign of, hey, time to attack, baby. And that's exactly what he'll do. We see another lancer in queue now, slowly making his units so he can start getting some relics into that base as well. He knows he's got enough units on the map to try and do something about this. Army value almost dead even, and the score, as you guys can see, 36-19. These boys have been producing every single unit they can. Horse archers instantly queued up for Louis here. Now, this feels a little bit interesting to me because head-to-head, they are going to struggle, but it does look like the archer mass here is going to be scary enough to push Beasty's units away.
Yeah, this is kind of one of those matchups where the horse archers are actually quite good. And I think that's something where the horse archers have been struggling is there's just a lot of matchups where they're not able to get all the same value. If there's a large enough mass of Jugnu, it can be somewhat problematic. Oh, this is a really nice raid, forcing some idle time out on Louis. Not getting a Vil just yet, and might even just lose a Lancer for free here, but that is at the cost of quite some idle time. Things are a little slow there, 12 idle Vils for this long. If that Lancer does go down from Beasty, that's still definitely worth it.
Beasty he knows the strength of Zushi, and Zushi is known for TC diving. They go into your base, they idle your TC, ensure that you run around non-stop, and uses that time to get ahead. We do see 2 relics now on the way to the base, and Louis is nowhere near getting that warrior scout up. Or warrior scout, what is that thing called? The warrior monk, there we go.
Monk.
Warrior of a monk, but he is not on the field just yet. Horse archers, though, numbers are still increasing. And the Rus games we have watched in this tournament, people double down on these horse archers. They still feel like, hey, this is going to be worth it. But they are the unit that you use to raid, and it just doesn't feel like Beasty's base is available for any raids right now.
Yeah, I mean, their main strength has historically been just like incredible DPS, but and for a very good cost, right? DPS for cost is like their main potent thing. And recently that just hasn't felt as impactful, at least in this tournament so far. But we'll see. I mean, one thing we had seen in a lot of the games where Rus was losing so far is the horse archers are getting challenged much earlier, and they're not able to get to that mass just based on the timings. But in this context, there really isn't anything that will kill the horse archers right now. There's nothing on the field for Beasty that will guaranteed kill them. The knights are going to have to get a lucky charge, which means you're banking on Louis messing up the micro. And I don't know, do you really want to bank on that right now? I mean, maybe you do. Maybe it's the best thing to do here. It's just hope he messes up, but I don't know. Louis is such a sharp player. I don't see that happening, at least not right now.
Now, what Beasty is doing here is, I feel like he is banking on exactly that. Because with the amount of lances we're seeing out of him here, it forces Louis to have to micro like an actual god. Louis needs to be able to make no mistakes, because if he makes a mistake for one moment, his horse archers are dead. So those horse archers now, they are running for their lives, but they're not doing damage during all of this. And eventually those lances do catch up. We see the knights are very, very confident running into these spears. There's enough of them. So Beasty does not need to lose those spears in positions like these, but he's doing it with a counterattack in mind.
I actually think that was really rough for Louis. He lost a lot of the HP on his knights, but he only has 8 knights. This is his front line against the Lancer charge. And that's all that's protecting his ranged mass, which otherwise would get slaughtered by these knights. So first off, the archers are going to get just absolutely mopped up on that wood line. And now Louis is going to have to really rally his knights, get them into position, and play really smart here. We're going to have to see in crazy micro the distraction Wololo in Beasty's base while villagers are going down 10 idle Vils. Louis is rapidly falling apart here. The Vils on the south side of his base just getting completely slaughtered. Oh my gosh, all the horse archers went down by the high trade house. What is happening? In just a moment, everything fell apart.
What's happening is a double-prong, triple-prong attack, just going from every single angle and ensuring that Louis was forced to make that single mistake I mentioned.
Oh, in the wood line.
He's about to find all the villagers, and there's no wall these guys can go to. And the Lancers are just going to chase. And even again, if they just get that idle time, it's worth it. Behind this, Beasty has 3 relics. Yes, Louis is getting 2 of those. And it does look like those will be coming all the way back. But we see a straight line of units coming straight from Beasty's base. And that just means more power. And guys, those are Jugunu. We've seen them in our bases. We know how those things hurt. So the Knights from Louis, they are going to really struggle, especially with +2 attack now coming on in as well.
Yeah, I think BC's position at this point is super optimal. Like, there's very little I think Louis can do at this point. He's going to try and do some shenanigans. Oh, actually almost catches Beasty there. But yeah, I mean, losing 7 Vils like that in this position is so brutal, especially against a Civ with the tempo like Jushi's. The switch up into Jugnu is going to be pretty surprising and could potentially even catch Louis off guard. It's not quite going to now because he can see it coming, but man, it's a dynamic situation, and we're just always seeing idle Vils for Louis, up to 9 Vils lost, and that is 5 more being threatened here by this small force, and there's just nothing in the vicinity to even counter this at all. There's nothing to even threaten this army. What, 3 horse archers aren't really going to do the trick here, I think, and I believe that's 5 Vils. They are doomed.
Now the army recognizes this, but again, double-prong attack from every single side. Now the Knights are going to be able to catch out these Jugunus, but that's a lot of losses that can turn around to them, and they're coming from the back. Beasty does not want to overcommit on this, though. He wants to get back to that Jugunu army and ensure that when he takes a fight, he takes it well. He knows he's done the damage. He needs to be methodical about this, but at the same time, don't give Louis room to breathe. Now the question is just the food. Because as I can now see, Louis' food has plummeted quite a bit, and Beasty is still on a healthy 1,000 per minute.
Yeah, and up 17 Knights, he's been kind of doing a lot in Louis' base, and somehow he's tripled the Knight count, and I can tell you that is not where Louis wants to be. Louis is up to 14 of these horse archers, which, you know, now we talked about the Jugnu earlier. There's now 28 on the field, so if it does come to a standing fight, the DPS is just not going to be there with these numbers, and the Lancers are going to get the charge in. The Knights have to retreat. The Horse Archers are retreating too. Only a little bit of damage coming in at a time, taking shots left and right from the Jugnu, and Beasty's just going to dive right for the economy, straight into the belly of the beast. Louis has looked so strong in these past tournaments, but here Beasty is just absolutely domination in game number 1 here, and that is a fast GG for game number 1. Roos continues its streak of just losing.
Louis may have thought that he had the answer to the loss streak of Rus, but no, Beasty had other plans for him. That Zushi civilization, he's looking pretty comfortable on it, actually. I know he's been voicing his concerns about the Zushi playstyle and being able to match the other players to that level, but maybe Zushi is just that good.
And this just tells that story the same, right? There was a small window, right, where if we look at the military value lead there, a lot of that was just those 10 feudal archers that he had kept alive for quite a while, and they had stood their ground until they just kind of got mopped up in the woodline. They hadn't really contributed much, so it was sort of dead weight in the army of Louis, and potentially a faulty investment because they never really did anything. It kind of threatened the defense, and it was, I think, intended to protect the deer patch, but that didn't even pan out. A lot of the scouts still went down on that deer patch.
So Beasty, though, he looks like he's got a plan in mind. He's sipping that water and ensuring that he stays hydrated, because the next one, it might be equally sweaty. Now, Winston, we do have some good news as we see that whole map from bird's eye view. Ladies and gentlemen, there are uwus, there are sacred sites, there are relics all around. I absolutely love this view. Look at that scout just running around.
Isn't it cool?
Villages just pouring around, and a dock being dropped down on the water. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mongols on Beasty, the other way around, and Louis on the Knights Templar. But this is the matchup that I was talking about earlier. This is the matchup that Beasty has shown he doesn't mind playing.
Yeah, it's an interesting call. I mean, Mongols have been played on 4 lakes historically, right? So it's not really a surprise to see them have strength here. I'm curious what the real game plan is. I mean, is this some sort of map control play here where you just sort of deny and you can play interesting docks and put them in cool spots and hope that that works out? I think we'll see. exactly what Beasty's plan is. I mean, Louis' plan with Knights Templar should be pretty straightforward. You know, we've sort of seen it on this map that this is the one map where players are kind of okay with letting Knights Templar through. And one of the biggest reasons for that is that there isn't an immediate gain had from the instant age up. It does require you to build a dock, which is something that you can see coming. So it requires Louis, for example, if he really wants to abuse Knights Templar to the maximum here, he'll need to get a dock in a really prime position. And there's ways for Beasty to kind of handle that. He has the con to help scout. It's more efficient at this. Like, it's able to sort of help maintain that map control. And also, if you are able to just manage your own pond and keep one safe, that kind of mitigates a lot of that value of the Knights Templar on water, which is usually their speed and the ferocity of that first attack on water is what leads them to a quick snowballing win. But then again, on this map, 2 sacred sites. There's only 2 spots that Beasty needs to kind of juggle between in order to fully deny pilgrims. So this is why, even though Knights Templar are so dominant on both the ladder and in tournament play on all these hybrid water maps, this map is probably their worst of the hybrid maps for them, just because the nature of the layout, the nature of the 4 docks being so, or sorry, the 4 ponds being so disconnected.
And I think that's probably why Beasty felt comfortable going into this matchup. He feels that, hey, if there's a place I can shut them down, it's where there's only 2 sacred sites. It's where I can definitely secure a little pond of water for myself and not deal with my opponents. But here we see that Louis is going for ships on both sides already. He wants to ensure that he has this food income because Louis, he has shown a different side to him recently. He's the aggressive guy who can attack and slow you down, because Mongols, they thrive on the fact that they need to make 2-3 Mangudai, raid you, bring the deer stones to your base, and you are in for a lot of problems. But Louis, with this, he has a few more choices, I feel like. Especially when you do have that income. The problem is just, when your villagers are out there on wood, they are very susceptible to being Mangudai'd.
Yeah, I mean, Mangudai could be an interesting option here. It even depends on what age-up choices Louis goes for, I think, in that context. We haven't seen many players taking Chevalier Confrere on this matchup. We've been seeing the priority being on Knights Hospitaller. It gives you that extra HP on several different units, the Villager, the Pilgrim, the Fishing Ship, and those all add up. And it just makes things a little more comfortable. And you can even get some interesting plays here. Now, Beasty did lose to Knights Templar to Anatan against, he had, I believe it was a Ubids, right? Against Anatan's Knights Templar. And there he honestly just lost to just a few military units on the field early. So maybe Louis saw that game and is going to try and replicate that here. But I think it's a lot harder to pull off against Mongols, who have a much tighter base layout, right? They can easily defend with their town center, their starting resources. And then the fish is a lot harder to pressure with land units, as you have to kill the dock, and that can be difficult with defending ships. So surprisingly, right, I would say there's no real action on the sea here, which indicates that both players are really content to just use their economies to play on the land.
Now, what I would love to see is whether Beasty goes for a second dock, if he tries to secure that water, or if he goes for a straight up archery range and try to shut down that wood line. Because you saw that Khan poking, and he was poking real hard. Those villages are going to be very, very easy to pick up if Louis doesn't move them a little bit closer to the TC. But I want you guys to notice he's moved that low HP villager closer to the TC, going onto the straggler trees, because you want to ensure that your villagers don't get more and more susceptible to this Khan level of aggression. But now, Louis already has his own archery range. So this this means he's not going to be able to secure the water with a military ship this early on. But luckily for him, Beasty is most likely going to do the same. So there's going to be a lot less action on water than we are used to on this map.
Yeah, and we're seeing the first units coming in. A couple Mangudai, you were correct in that. I think that makes a lot of sense here. It gives you a lot of opportunity to raid, and the Hospitaller Knights are very useless against this. And against standard archers, Mangudai honestly feel pretty good. They can take the trades that they need, and it plays well. But here we see Louis getting already safe passage, right? Like, he's already gotten both techs. right? And Sanctuary, sorry. So both techs here are in, which means, you know, if Beasty's not already killing Pilgrims, things could become problematic for him. We'll see if he's able to pick up that first group of Pilgrims. It's currently out going to the north side, and I'm not sure if Beasty spotted that with the con yet. He did go around to the back, and this is an important moment here, right? Like, Louis has 24 gold in the bank. This is a huge influx that will kind of decide what he's able to afford later. As Beasty comes forward, if he's not able to shut this down right now, which he does miss, these two Pilgrims are going to make it. That gives Louis a lot of flexibility, gives him a little more time. All he needs is for a few of these to sneak in and to give him that advantage, and things will look good as that, that Pilgrim does a little shuffle. Oh, that's fun. And there we go.
Guys, he does not mind those too much. It seems those Mangudai have a different plan in mind. And this might just be a little bit of a... Ooh, he does get a villager here. Those low HP villagers actually starting to show problems, because we now have a deer stones here, and you guys can see those archers are very aggressively staring at the deer stones. Pilgrims now going towards the other side, but if these ones make it back to base, this is going to start getting harder and harder, like you said. But now there's two Mangudai groups and another one on the way, so these archers are going to be up for grabs if not careful. Beasty, though, he's floating quite a bit of food here, spending his gold as he can, but we'll see what that commitment looks like in a short bit. He does get +1 ranged attack now coming on in, but Louis, on the other hand, he only is getting wheelbarrow now.
Yeah, but honestly, Beasty missed both of the Pilgrim packs so far, which means we're seeing techs like Wheelbarrow now, 300 gold in the bank. Louis has options. He can get, maybe drop a blacksmith and start to get upgrades. Maybe looking just at going Castle Age, right? We've talked about all these Mangudai raids, but the archers have held the line. They've defended, and one Vil down, but he's gotten Pilgrims, so...
And double Pilgrim making it back every single time is going to hurt. We do see the archer numbers here now not looking like something Mangudai can handle. And with Louis not needing to go on gold, this means that a lot of villagers are not really able to be harassed. Pilgrims now also protected. The deer stones under siege a little bit, but those Mangudai are trying to find a way around. Beasty is starting to do the things that we see from Mongols.
This could be huge.
He does have the ability to pick off a few of these archers, but some of the villagers does look like they're all going to make it out. But the archer mass does need to move back quite a bit. A few more archers getting picked off, but he does need to be careful. The Mangudai, they are able to do damage, but not take these guys down.
Yeah, not quite in position to deny these, so another Pilgrim pack goes in, and that is enough resources now to go Castle Age. Louis has got to be happy with this, and now the Mangudai are going to take forever to kill the heavy spears, right? It's just going to take forever if he's only in Feudal Age. Now, Beasty, not too far away from Castle Age himself, which could give him a lot of advantages. You know, getting a couple more upgrades on those Mangudai certainly would not hurt at this point. Maybe starting to look at some Keshik or something else. I don't know, any sort of unit to deal with this a little more efficiently, because this archer mass is growing and it will soon be supported by anti-cav. Things could get dicey here for Beasty. I don't know if this opening has gone as well as he had hoped.
That opening has not done the damage that you need to get your opponent to slow down enough for you to go for the fast Imperial that we see out of Mongols. So the step redoubt coming on out now with 10 villagers. The towers slowly starting to form around Beasty's base because he wants to ensure that he gets that base as a safe place, especially when your opponent is going to be aggressive. Heavy Spearman now in Q2, and he is trying to pick off a few archers as he runs around, trying to pull the army back to Louis' base. And this is the strength of the Mangudai. It's a civilization that just has a lot of answers to keep you in your base. You have the Keshiks, you have the Mangudai. So with the Mangudai, you're constantly going to be raiding. There's always going to need to be an archer blob back at the base. And this feels so risky because if you just send a few archers, they're all going to get picked off and then you are slightly cooked. But Beasty now being aged up, we are going to see Keshiks in the queue instantly. And upgrades for the Mangudai coming on out as well.
Yeah, it makes sense. You're going to need some sort of front line here. And honestly, I think this is the best answer, but it doesn't feel great if you're in Beasty's position. I mean, he might be okay with the position overall. Maybe he's played this quite a lot and understands that this is how it opens, but certainly not getting a ton of value right now. He is up dramatically on Vil count, so that could be part of it. But you know, it's not these raids. They cause a little bit of idle time as the Vils have to walk around. You see, every time he runs through the back here, the benefit of Louis' position is that he's able to just move to a new wood line without having to build a new lumber camp. So the drain on a normal Civs economy is actually pretty dramatic when you do this. With Templar, much less so.
And Beasty is aware that this is something that's not going to work forever, because as we can now see, Louis is moving across the map. These spearmen definitely keeping horse archers or Mangudai very, very busy. But the big pink blob is heading on over to the gold, because that's exactly what you need to deny.
This could get... I mean, the counterattack is a really interesting choice. There's some towers here, though, which means that, I mean... If Louis is not paying attention or being careful here, he could take a really bad engagement, a little bit of a weak trade. And on the back side of this, he's getting so much value still with these couple Mangudais. You can definitely see the slow army composition from Louis is struggling.
Now, the bright side for Louis is that he has not lost a second villager after that initial loss, and he's still able to keep most of his units alive here. The problem is just he cannot find the damage he needs to play against Mongols. Now, Beasty getting every bit of upgrade he can to ensure that he can stay alive. When he starts to get greedy, as we see the gold trickling in, the step redoubt doing work, but there's still that pink blob knocking at the front of his base. These Mangudai, though, they cannot be ignored, and Louis realizes, I need to take care of those towers, because they're just going to turn these fights on its head, and I'm not going to be able to take them down like this. So now getting that siege engineering is going to change this up a bit, because Beasty's units, they're not that great at dealing with rams. Not yet, at least.
He's building up a mass of about 7. Now it's going to be 10 soon. Keshik, he's got crossbows to deal with the heavy spearmen. I don't know. I think if Beasty's able to get enough numbers out while Louis is still making these rams and building time, there could be a really strong pincer here, and currently just going for reinforcements, but that could also mean trapping this army from Louis deep in a position where it does not want to be. There are a lot of crossbows on the field. This is enough crossbows to deal with those heavy spearmen at this stage, and with enough Keshiks to front line, the burden of micro here is gonna somewhat be on Beasty to make sure he's getting max value out of all of his ranged units, but Louis just has to run, and there's not a ton he can do here except try and kill some of these Mangudai as he goes down.
The problem is Beasty's whole army is here, and even though Louis technically is ahead, half of the army is back at base or currently desperately running after this. The Mangudai, that composition of mobility also just ensured that he was able to get these units from the side. Ooh, and those Keshiks are just pounding away at those spears at the back. The problem is now, does Louis have an answer to this army if Beasty starts to get greedy? Now, the Mangudai, they do get picked off as Louis' reinforcements arrive. And yes, Louis' army is still going to be the thing that can kill Beasty. But I don't know if they can hard enough, as that is, again, just going to be a bunch of towers reinforced, ensuring that you take unfavorable trades. And Beasty, he's starting to float. Winston, we know what this means. It's about time.
Cognitive Palace. Let's go. I mean, it might be a play. I think you definitely don't want to throw this game by going imp a little bit too soon here, because you're in danger of potentially doing the same thing that you just did to... Oh, he's going to be able to just squeeze through, and that's going to be pretty frustrating for Louis, because his army was there. If that was walled, Beasty could have lost quite a few units.
But now those Keshiks are just going to have a field day running around, getting a decent charge off, but no villagers going down yet again. Louis is just a master at keeping these alive. These guys, they will probably not tell the same story. Desperately trying to build a wall. The Khan flanking around, trying to pick off. He does get one. And out of that raid, Louis just keeps his villagers safe. Absolutely master play at how to not lose villagers.
It's that hospitaler difference, though, you know? It's the hospitality, keeping those vills nice and tanky, really speedy. Everything feels nice and cozy, you know? And they just feel good. They want to stick around. They don't want to say hello to the Keshik. They want to run away.
But that guy especially, though, the Keshiks did not find him that important. But the relic, though, Beasty does not allow that. Yeah. Not at all. He does allow 4 of them to go to the base of Louis, though. So Louis has been snacking, but Beasty, on the other hand, he will be snacking on the palace. The Gaggenhead Palace now being built up with 18. Now, Winston, the most important question, what is the first unit out of this?
Hui Hui.
Hui Hui Pao? I am feeling a little bit of a palace god, actually.
I'm banking that this is a Hui Hui Pao.
Okay. Twitch chat, YouTube chat, this is for you to decide what is that first unit we will be getting from the Gamba of the Kaganet Palace. Now, it does look like there are a lot of alarms going on because this is exactly what you want to do when you are playing against someone as the Kaganet Palace is coming on in. You want to keep them in your base or in their base so that you can keep being greedy and keep letting that timer tick. 4 villages now going down total, and it does look like French Knights are the first thing on the cards here for Beasty.
It's not a Hui. Once again, these Keshik just coming through. I mean, at some point, I feel like Louis just needs to commit a bunch more vills to trying to wall some palisades on the right side so that this loop at least can't continue, because Beasty is charging through on this left side and doing this same circular cycle, and it's essentially a cycle of doom, right? You just can't escape it if you don't wall this escape route, and this escape route keeps working. And so Louis is just going to keep having to deal with the cycle time, keep losing, you know, maybe not a ton of vills at once, but 1 or 2 at a time, and it really is starting to add up. KT already starts the game with a bit of a deficit when they get these Pilgrim upgrades, and now he's down quite a few vills.
And now he actually got a few Pilgrims alongside that, and I see Twitch chat is correcting me. It is a Roost Knights. Yes, guys, he's getting some Roost Knights on the field. So, Knights be Knightsing, and I am just happy that this is going to mean a very chunky army for him. But Louis, on the other hand, he's got archers. And archers, they don't deal well with the composition switch that Beasty is doing at the same time. We see men-at-arms in this army. And yes, I always say with enough archers, you can counter any men-at-arm. But those number of archers are not going to be what you need. And Louis, though, he's trying to match this by going Imperial himself. And Winston, I don't know what Imperial is going to give him to handle what the Mongols is about to push out, especially with Nestor Bees too.
If he's putting faith in his economy, it's certainly just Venice. Condottiero? I mean, maybe part of it is just access to the trader. I don't know. Condottiero could be interesting here. I mean, it's a good read against the hand cannoneers potentially, but they're not like that good. It's just slightly better. So I'm not sure exactly what the plan is. We'll have to see. I'm really curious how he's going to play this.
He does get a few warrior monks there as the next one, but no Hui Pao just yet. The thing is, if you have the Marine Lord luck, you do get the Hui Pao when you start to push out. So maybe Beasty is getting a little bit of that Marine Lord vibes from being around him at the land. And we'll see if that thing comes at the right time. But we do have a fortress put down now, which means another Pilgrim joining that route. The problem is just that Pilgrim is going to struggle after a while with the army composition here from Beasty. Again, very mobile army. He can be everywhere at once, and that fortress does not protect the sacred site. So it feels like these Pilgrims are going to start falling pretty quickly, if not getting denied. More elite knights coming on out, and this starts to feel quite hard, because Louis does not have anything in that composition that's going to handle this. He's floating a lot of gold. What is he? Oh, a lot of gold, a lot of food. What is he going to make with that?
Not quite sure what the plan is. I think just more units. I think his macro is not really matching condos at all, so I don't think we're going to see them. I think he just went imp for the sake of going Imperial Age here. And now that the scary army is revealed, men-at-arms with the hand cannon backline, it's a solid composition. Beasty pushing forward in a critical moment here, going up 2-0 against Louis. With his first pick Civ would be a massive pickup for him, as the composition of rallied Kaganet Palace units, man-at-arms, crossbows, hand cannoneers forces Louis to retreat into the confines of his base, taking safety between the monasteries, hoping for some safety. And we see condos on the field.
Winston, do you see what Beasty just got from the Kaganet Palace? That's a Hui Pao right there, as he needs it to start pushing on out. Now, it wasn't ready on the field just yet, so he is going to need to work for this a little bit more, stay alive, but that's not going to be a problem. This is Mongols. He has 83 military supply. This man is the aggressor, and Louis does not have an opening to do anything against this. With Louis not being able to spend that food, it does feel pretty tough to to actually try and contest this. And Beasty's composition is just growing and growing and growing. Hand cannoneers now being the major part of this army too is going to make this really difficult. Huihuipao is now done. Palace Guards joining the next, and another fortress coming on out for Louis. But again, these are defensive fortresses. These are not the commanding, dominant fortresses we see from Knights Templar, especially on their water map. Look at that deer stones. He's just cheekily standing there in front of the fortress, telling him, hey, you can fire at me. I'll take it.
Yeah, as our players are aiming to max out before this next big fight, you can see a clear difference in population, though 190 to 200. A lot of that propped by the production of that Cognate Palace. 150 pop for Louis is still just not quite there. We don't see the production really. 3 in queue. Not really, like you said, 2k food, but not really finding a clean way to spend it here. Might be a bit of Louis' downfall. I don't know what he would make. Like, a horseman switch seems dire at this point and not what he really needs necessarily. We're seeing a mix of spearmen, heavy spearmen, condos, and archers, but a lot of that archer mass has just been alive for a while. So a lot of Louis' army has just been that he's been taking good trades against the raiders. But the raids have paid off dividends here. 24 vills down so far from Beasty is just a phenomenal job at raiding Louis, who's generally been an impeccable defender. But we'll see how this push goes. I mean, the Huihui's taking its shots. Some crazy range.
Yeah, Louis is going to need something special to be able to take those, and he knows he cannot take a forward fight, but at the same time, those units are running for their lives into Beasty's base, and at the same time, Beasty is just cleaning them up from behind. He knows that this is in a suboptimal position for Louis. Louis now trying to make his way back, finding some villager. I say singular villager right there, but Beasty's army is going to be chasing this down, and a few units will be picked up. The tower is now providing a sense of protection here for the Huihuipao. Villagers also at the ready to protect it and repair it. A bombard now in queue so that Beasty can ensure that he can clean out this push. And with that growing Mongol mass, we gotta ask ourselves, is Katie still a tier 1 pick on this if you don't find that clear damage? Because Beasty didn't do the damage he needed, but Louis couldn't find any follow-up either.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Louis seemed a little bit lost as soon as he hit Imperial. Like, his army here just completely out of position, and this fight was pretty rough for him, and that might be a game-losing fight, as now 100 military to 20, plenty of siege to help the push. Louis tried to pull the army of Beasty down to the south corner so he could mop up these forward defenses and maybe try and kill the Huihui, but so far, no luck. Maybe gonna get on top of it here with the, but the repairs come in just in time, and Louis unable to take down the Huihui, which is going to matter as Beasty's reinforcements are now charging forward, coming forth once more into the fray. They stare down the front of Louis's base, and Louis down vills, down military, down bad in this population situation. 89 pop to a clean 200 from Beasty. Look at the sheer number of upgrades on the side of Beasty. And yeah, Louis is just going to have to tap out there. Beasty with a clean win, even though that early game, it didn't seem particularly dominant. It seemed like Louis was really clever with the positioning of the early, which sacred site to send the pilgrims to. It just sort of kept working. But, I mean, LoueMT, tell me, what do you think is going on in Louis' head right now?
Louis, I feel like, could be very surprised here. KT has been one of his comfort picks. There's been instances where he bans KT first, and he still picks it first, even though his opponent would not have access to it, because he feels like it's that good of a civilization, and it's a huge priority for him. So being or losing on your comfort pick must not feel that great right now. And we have to ask ourselves, is this going to go to Louis' head? Is he going to be able to get out of this? And as we can now see, Louis, he still, that was a thinking phase, but at the same time, a what just happened phase. So now looking at that graph, we can see Louis investing in that little bit of second dock pretty early on. It looked like, hey, this is a pretty big boost to an income. Beasty not able to find any damage. It looked good for him, but even then, the economy count, you see that pink graph just slightly at the top there, but Beasty eventually skyrocketing after that, after transitioning onto his second water as well. And the question is just, was Louis supposed to shut down the food on water instead, alongside trying to stop the Mangadai?
Whenever I'm in a situation where these Mangudai are just running circles around the base, I always feel a sense of regret that I haven't walled like a little portion in the back, right? You want to just put like a tiny little wall from your wood line to the edge of the map, and it doesn't prevent the units from coming in. It prevents them from spiraling around your base forever. This is the same with knights, but Mangudai especially. It's just so critical. Could it be as simple as walling there? I don't know. I'm not the pro player, so I don't want to say, oh, you just build walls and then the Mangudai don't get in. You know, that's not what I'm trying to say, but I am saying whenever I lose like that, that is the one thing I'm thinking of is why didn't I defend better?
This is a game that it was so important for Beasty to win as well. We saw in his previous set against Anatand, he looked good, but okay, everyone's looking good. But Anatand looked really, really strong, and Anatand was an opponent that Beasty felt confident against. This is not the same level of confidence I heard from him before, and maybe that was the key to it. Maybe not being that confident, but being just, I can do this methodically. That was maybe the answer here for him. But now we did see a reverse comeback from our players yesterday. So Louis is not out of this yet, but they did choose their civilizations. And Winston, we've got an Abbasid versus Byzantines in front of us. We are ready to roll on in. Let's see what these two men are going to be pulling out. And we've been actually seeing a lot of spicy plays here from Byzantines. We do have some player POVs from both of these. Shout out to production. Oh my goodness. Winston, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's pretty cool to watch.
And they're just so fast. I feel like when we're looking at the scouting patterns from both of these
They look
players,
so calm.
Yeah, they do. I would panic just from being that fast already.
Yeah,
Absolutely
like in this context, it's like, oh, this is a peaceful situation. Like, oh, I found a sheep. Oh, nice, a sheep, another sheep.
Another sheep.
And then you look at the players, and they're just like, every single click is like the most important thing. But that's what it takes, you know. It's part of it's the ritual of staying in shape and warmed up and ready for the higher octane moments. And other parts are, you know, every little bit counts. These early game interactions around sheep are critical. Missing one, missing two, it can be very decisive later on in the game. So it's important that you're on point at all stages, and these players are sure to bring it.
Both of these guys not really getting a lot of sheep here early on. We can see there's still 15 or 14, sheep 13, sheep up for grabs. And this is definitely a matchup where I would say the sheep matters less than we're used to, right? We have Byzantines, which they love to go out on them berries. They love to be snacking. Abbasid, same thing, right? Not a civilization that we're like, oh no, they're out of sheep, this is the end of it. But at the same time, it's about survivability. It's about getting into that early to mid game and actually being able to outlast those early resources. But Louis now, he is on the winning side of the sheep war right now. Now, as we can see, the House of Wisdom finishing up there, and Beasty now still a little bit behind on the sheep here.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, though, it's not the biggest deal for either of these civs. It is something you care about, though, especially with Biz, you know. You get the grand binary in a lot of these matchups, and it is an important thing that you don't have to max it out right away. Generally, we see players try and build, you know, between 8 to 12-ish farms in Feudal Age. If you feel like you have to do that too soon, it can come at a detriment of a lot of the potency. I feel like it takes away a lot of the options. It means that your castle age is a lot worse, you know, stuff like that.
Now, with that third cistern almost at the ready, we do see that Louis is going for the military wing. Now, the military wing for this matchup specifically, it forces the Byzantines to invest in a unit we don't typically want to see out of the Byzantines, and that's the archer. Oh, but that cistern is in a very particular position there. That feels like the usual Grand Winery position in most cases, Winston.
Yeah, could this be Hippodrome game? That is where you'd want to put it. So this could be a situation for the Hippodrome, and this is the strategy, this is the prep.
This is something that I think Louis now actually can deal with just because of his military wing. And the question is, does Beasty know that Louis is going for the military wing? Because that is the critical key piece of information here. You've now blocked the place you usually would put wonderful winery to just get all the oil you need, but at the same time, you've got the berries there. You can handle this. Now, with the lack of sheep that he also got, I do think this is going to be a lot harder to sustain than what we usually see out of the Hippodrome. Military wing is almost finished, and we'll see if Louis goes straight for the base to try and deny at least a little bit of resources, because Beasty is still on stone. He's still getting the stone, so those cisterns, it's going to be level 4 pretty soon, and level 5 should be following shortly after. But with the military wing, it does become a lot more risky to be this greedy, and Beasty right now, I feel like he's a bit greedy.
Yeah, so I was thinking about the Hippodrome a little bit, and one of the key things about this map is, well, there's no trade post.
Oh, yes.
There's no trade post, and one of the things that players have been doing a lot recently is really trying to find the best trade posts early game with Biz, and that's one of the reasons that Biz has been kind of potent is, you know, yeah, you can go the normal, you can just go the usual, like just get your longbows, right, do whatever, but that's
a villager. Winston, that is a villager.
It's going to get spotted, and there's going to be surely some sort of horseman or something.
This villager is not supported by many units just yet, but
Well,
they are
here
there right now. Yes.
Is he trying to tower the Hippodrome, or sorry, tower the winery? And there's no winery. It's like, oh, surprise, I'm not even on the berries. I mean, this could be rather annoying, because this is a big investment from Beasty at this stage. We're about to go up to 4, and he's going to cancel.
That is not a great feeling, because for you, you know the Hippodrome is not necessarily the move we see out of people. Now, that's a very low scout. If that horse decides to turn around and snack on it, oh, he will. But look at Beasty being a greedy...
That's crazy.
Absolute
That is a crazy aqueduct, bro. That is going so far. He's like, I want my next cistern to be in Narnia, please. Yeah, so that's interesting. So something that Louis has to prepare for now is once there are enough horsemen on the field, the Triumph becomes really, really potent against low numbers of spearmen. Mm-hmm. You need to have enough spears, and it's more than you think, because the horsemen get both healing and extra damage, and that's just flat damage. So it just feels good against spears. So you really have to be careful in those engagements, and that's going to mean Louis is going to have to find some sort of counter to horsemen, which means, I mean, do you really want to make more spears right now, as Abba said? I mean, you can, but it is not what you want to do on this map, where you're trying to be aggressive. To have to suddenly switch your production buildings over to the spears is going to feel annoying, and we're seeing Beasty committing now to the horsemen. I'm not sure how many horsemen he'll choose to make, right? It could just be a few for raids and wait for Castle Age.
This does depend on what his decision is when he sees that second TC, because Louis is about to put that second TC down. And when you see your opponent going for second TC, it does feel like you're putting yourself on a timer. But at the same time, this is the Byzantines on a soon-to-be level 5 cistern. And that just doesn't do the same amount of pressure to a Byzantines as you would usually see out of most people. Now, the thing is, he's up against a lot of horsemen from Louis as well. So 4 horsemen is not going to allow Beasty to just go out on the map and get the berries all the way out there in China, I would say. Definitely the eastern side being very far away.
Yeah, that Ville deserves a raise. Can we look at that Ville? Can we just like pan over that wall real quick? Can we just appreciate, like, that is an industrious Ville. Look at the distance. Look at the amount of aqueduct this one solitary human has built. That's just incredible.
Low risk, high reward. Oh my goodness, he could
It just keeps going. It's like we didn't even get to the end. Oh yeah, and there's the final result. Yeah, you did it. Good job.
Confetti.
It's not quite a raise, but you know, it's sincere appreciation for your hard work. Here's the wolf.
You just build a wall. Time to hunt, brother. If you want to live. But Louis now is getting more and more horses. Beasty, same thing though. Beasty knows, just like you said about the fact that he can heal them up, it is not the same type of fight that we usually see in spearmen into horses. And even just having 2 spearmen usually would do a lot, but with only 2 spearmen, you're not going to be able to take those down. Louis now, he is going to find these vills, and he should not be able to kill one just yet, as they do have a wheelbarrow. They get to run back quite quickly, but this does signal to Beasty that Louis is making horses, and he should be a little bit more careful about going out there on the berries. But it doesn't seem like Louis knows this. He doesn't realize that Beasty is being a greedy goose, building aqueducts all the way into Narnia. Now, he does put that second TC with his units, and this is going to tell him, hey, I can either just keep making units, I can go for castle, or I can keep making units and just kill him and deny that second TC, because there is a little bit of a timer here before that second TC pays off, because it was a very major investment here.
Yeah, and the Bastards, you know, let's not forget fresh food stuff has been cooking away, and you can see the difference. Beasty has 2 food and 12 horsemen. Louis has 500 food and 10 horsemen with an 11th in queue, right? Now Beasty has 2 more in queue, but like Beasty is spending all of his food. Louis is slowly stacking up, and you know, this could be a situation where he needs to build more units, especially you need numbers to overcome Triumph. But yeah, this is kind of interesting. There's raids all over the place. A couple kills here and there are really going to start to add up. The destroyed value, though, is still quite low, as these players are just more dancing and just saying hello. It's a little high fives between the horsemen. They're not really they're not shooting to kill, you know. They're just being friends. They say high five, you know, a slap maybe, and then they go their separate ways. So there's quite a few low horsemen, which should mean that when Beasty does click Triumph, it's a very high impact, because over time this Triumph gets longer and longer. So being able to delay it this long is really good.
And the thing is, Louis now needs to respect this. He does pull back, he wants to get a little bit of damage, but he cannot overcommit. Louis only now getting his military upgrades, while Beasty, he's already stacked up on quite a few. He's got his eco upgrades, he's got his military upgrades as well. He's going to be looking for a fight pretty soon. The second set of longbows also going to be joining soon. Louis, though, he's going to have 18 horses on the field. The problem is just the difference in Beasty's horses is going to make this a very tough fight. And the thing is, I think Louis knows this. Louis does need to find a way to do damage without losing the majority of that army, because we know Byzantines, once it gets to this point, it's so hard to stop their pushes if you don't have at least the same mass of units there.
Well, I actually think it's interesting. As the horses pass like ships in the night, there's a certain thing missing from Beasty right now, and that is he does not have 12 farms. He does not have the Grand Winery. This is usually where Byzantines kind of come online to a certain degree. There's been no farm investment yet, which means that transition into olive groves is still going to be expensive. With 50 wood, that isn't happening anytime soon. Beasty's just been trying to get berries to get enough longbows out, which I'm not really sure what the longbows are super doing. I don't know if they're the most valuable thing right now, but at some point, Beasty's going to have to do that farm transition. And on the other side of things, we already see Louis going into the culture wing, which is going to mean cheaper techs coming forward really quickly, which means that big tech advantage that Beasty has built up in Feudal Age, if he's not able to capitalize now, Louis will catch up quite quickly if time is given.
And Beasty has given Louis' TC a little bit of time to actually start stacking up. The thing is, Louis does not have any gold in the bank, so when he does hit that age up, if he doesn't reroute right now, he's not going to have enough for all those critical upgrades he needs to actually overrun the Byzantines' army. But now, Louis' units, he's got enough to actually stop these stray little horses trying to find damage. But Beasty, he's doing something else. He's flanking yet again. He wants to take down a few of these horses. Remember, Abbasid, they cannot age up faster. They're just aging up. Beasty also now looking at aging up himself while putting this pressure. Louis trying to split up his army to ensure that you do not take down all of them at the same time.
Yeah, some interesting micro back and forth here, a few units going down. As you can see, the destroyed value is still quite low in this game overall. Just a few horsemen going down. Beasty definitely getting the better of the trades, especially in the past couple of minutes. But as we start to see Castle Age, we also have to contend with the fact that camels are going to come into play, and I've seen Louis' games. I don't think he's afraid to make a couple camels in here, and they will absolutely demolish these horsemen, and I think it's not really relevant if they have Triumph. I mean, maybe veteran horsemen with +2 attack with Triumph is enough to deal with a few early camels, but I have a feeling Louis might make quite a few camels here.
And Louis still, he's got a lot of villagers extra. That income is looking good. And like you said, that farm transition is going to take a while when Beasty eventually decides to do it. Now, of course, you have to keep in mind there's a lot of berries on this map. That farm transition is very far away. But this is something around the 20-minute mark that Beasty is going to need to think about. Now, Beasty, he is looking for that engagement as he sees that age up coming on through. Now, clicking up his horseman upgrades too. The thing is, he's got cisterns. Those upgrades are going to come in a little bit faster around the same time that Louis is deciding to attack onto him. But you see, those villagers, they're on the sheep, the very, very barren sheep that he is going to run out of pretty soon. But Beasty, though, he's feeling pretty confident against this. We do see the towers getting attacked, villagers under siege. He might pick up a few here. 3 go down total so far.
Whoa.
But does need to pull back for now, I say. Never mind. He is most likely feeling very confident with those horses because he's still got a lot of points in that hippodrome.
Well, that just gave Beasty a lot of information, actually. He saw that those vills still don't have wheelbarrow, which means that we're really trying to milk some value out of Culture Wing right now, and there's a lot of text to go through, and getting denied off this gold is quite huge here for Louis as he looks to take a fight. But is it going to be enough? He's made only 4 Gulam since going up. Here's the triumph. The horsemen are going to feel so strong here with the vet upgrades. The front line just going to go down. No camels in sight. Louis' army has completely melted. 8 units remain. 37 for Beasty. He's pushing in. He's got a solid composition. Longbows and horsemen. The triumph continues. It still has not ended, and triumphant is Beasty as he takes the series.
He takes on Louis 3-0. Our previous EGC champion, Beasty, is feeling good. You can see it on that face. He's getting up now, feeling great about this. Now, this is not just about winning this one match. This is so much more. The next game he gets to watch is his next opponent coming on out from groups, and that is going to be a very important one for him. Beasty now packing up those game buds as well. He is feeling good, mouth full of, after that sweaty game, we can definitely imagine he needs to hydrate.
Yeah, that was surprising. At the start of this series, we had talked about the competitive scene and how impressive it was that we hadn't had a 3-0 yet. Did we just jinx it a little bit?
I think we did. Winston, this one's on us. That's the
on us. Curse. Oh man, that's the caster curse right there. I hope not. Louis there walking out a little dejected. You can see on his face not happy with that performance, and honestly, nor should he. That was a brutal position to be in. That was tricky. What could you even do? I mean, I think part of it was just completely not expecting that play from Biz.
Yes.
When that Vil was going forward, I was so confident that he thought there was a winery he did not scout. And that shows a level of expectation that Louis had for how that game is going to be played. Beasty completely counteracted that. And even small details, like you said, never even spotting that cistern on the far right. And that could have been something where, you're able to maybe send a horse or two and just quickly burn down the aqueduct, disconnect, and now all the vills are worse. You have most of them at 4, and the ones over there get very isolated. And just little details like that, I think, could have helped Louis' play, but I'm not sure. Beasty seemed to have quite the strategy for that game, and it paid off.
Welcome everyone. We are at the desk, the most important desk right now, because we are with a winner, a person who did something very, very dirty here, because the last S-tier victories person, the GOAT, have fallen with a clean 3-0. Now let me ask you about something. From the first game, Coastal Cliffs, did you were you imagine that he going to pick Rus there with the not 0% win rate anymore? Because actually Anatan won a game with Rus. So did you expect it that he gonna pick Rus there?
I actually did, and I was going to pick Delhi into Rus, but I was like, it's coastal, Delhi's not great there, but if I get that matchup, it's pretty good. But if I get any other, it's going to be disaster. So I just kind of went for the more safe pick, I guess, in Jushi. So yeah, managed to deny some pro scouting, delayed a little bit, hit castle, and I just kind of followed through with a little timing there. So
a little bit of a fun fact that we were talking Rus counters, right, in a lobby where we are watching Beasty's game, and like, hey, what do you think was counters Rus? And everyone in the lobby said like Zushi, China, said Mali, and now looks like Japanese as well. So they were just joking around, but yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, actually, we were watching one of the Rus games, I think Marine Lords game, and I was next to Louis, and I told him I'll let you pick Rus. I'm not picking that again. So he even banned it actually, which maybe he thought I was mind gaming him, but I was just being honest. So in the end, he got it, but yeah.
And
didn't work out.
And he had to play against Zushi, so it worked out for you, for sure.
Yep.
All right, let's go to game number 2, which was 4 lakes. Now, this is really funny. So everyone was like, okay, this is Louis, he gonna win everything. And I said one thing, okay? I watched everyone, I just yelled, Mangudai. That's all I said, Mangudai. And they were like, no, there is no way Katie gonna lose to Mangudai on this map. I was like, no, listen to me, Beasty, Mangudai, his raids, everything builds up together, reaches Imperial, there is no chance for Louis to win. No, you're gonna see. Beasty going to lose this, but was it the Mangudai?
I think that was like the smoothest messy game, because Mongol games are usually very messy. You can't really plan it out. Everything is in the moment. But I feel like everything went pretty well. And I think Louis is probably the best KT player. Like, he's really good with KT. He even plays it on land maps, like practices it, not necessarily in tournaments. But so he's really good, but I felt pretty confident. I think KT is a bit overrated maybe on water maps. And yeah, I mean, when I saw him first pick KT, I was like, yeah, I'm happy with that. So, yeah, the game got a little bit like messy at some points. It gets kind of scary, but as long as you kind of transition to Castle and Imperial pretty well, there's no timing for KT to do anything, I think so.
That's amazing to hear. I literally felt a little bit of it as well, because also on 4 lakes there are not really attempt of building dock on the opponent's side, right? Also there was not really a huge attempt. It was like, all right, I'm gonna block out your fishing ships. It was more like, okay, we are transitioning into the castle age as well. He went up with the heavy spearman. Was it a little bit of a surprise for you that he went with the heavy spearman?
No, I think a lot of people do that because Genoese crossbowmen, you need like strong front line because you usually mass archers at that point, so people go with the heavy spearmen. But I just committed a little bit in castle. I got one good fight in where I killed like half of his army, or caught half of his army, and then after that, I feel like it is heavy spearmen, so it is men-at-arm, but you don't really want your army comp to be like spearman / men-at-arm plus archer on a map where you have like crazy amount of resources. So I felt like my army is a lot better with Kashi crossbow Mangudai, a lot more expensive. So yeah, it's one of those things where he can't raid, so I can only die to like direct attacks. Meanwhile, if he makes any mistakes, he's just bleeding economy. So.
And did you get scared when you saw the condottiere, or you were like really like, oh my god, I have Mangudai anyway?
So funny thing, I thought they're lens connect, so I was like, how is he making those? And I was like, and I clicked on it. Like, I'm not even joking. In the middle of the game, I clicked on it and I read what it is. And I was like, oh, yeah, those exist.
Those exist.
I don't remember the last time I played against them. So, I mean, I had a bunch of hand cannoneers, but I had also crossbows and like everything else. And I think he was probably getting pretty low on gold, even with 5 relics.
Yeah, also he didn't really much secure the gold on the map, right? Because most of the fortresses were also close to his base rather than on the map to secure like a large gold or gorge at all. So let's see, the last game was on regions, Byzantine versus Abbasid. Now I'm not really familiar with this matchup because most of the time we don't see Abbasid at all, like who picks Abbasid, right? So but did you felt comfortable?
I mean, against Byzantine, so there was a little bit of a mind game going. So against Byzantine, you obviously want to like tower rush or you want to spear rush the berries. And I have seen or played against Louis, and he does like the military into tower rush. So because there was no Dark Age barracks, I said, I'm just going to go Hippodrome anyway. So when his villager arrived, he then realized I don't have Grand Winery. So he immediately started running back. And at that point, I feel like he invested into stable, a villager ran across the map, and then he went second TC. So I felt like in a really, really good spot. As long as I'm not losing villagers, I secure the bears on the right side. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm just going to age up, get upgrades, and kill him, because I haven't used the hippodrome tickets at all. I just waited for like the one big engagement, and he kept making horsemen. And you know, if we both make horsemen, but mine have an activation ability that makes them heal and do damage, I was like, yeah.
I honestly felt like about your units and everything, right? So the horseman, you have it. I said the others as well. Look, he has the food. And now if he just sends the horseman in and has explorators, which if you kill a villager, you get 30 gold per villager kill, he's gonna just age up. But you aged up anyway, he aged up as well. But were you comfortable when he hit the next age faster than you? Did you feel that it's over anyway?
No, not really, because like I felt like that's fine, because I feel like he just wasted a lot of resources. Even if his upgrades hit, again, we're basically identical units, right? Except the horsemen from Byzantine are better. So I felt like I also have longbows. So if he goes spearmen, it's not going to work already. Yes. Even if he focuses my longbows with horsemen, my horsemen will kill everything else, like including gulams. And I was already making cataphracts behind it, so. Yeah, I felt pretty comfortable there.
Yeah, I honestly feel like this landmark is not really that much appreciated compared to the other one, because we like the extra olive oil, of course. We love if you are, you know, getting oil up. But anyway, so the hippodrome with the +4 damage and the HP regeneration is just such a nice, you know, landmark to have, both on the horseman, Mangudai, or the cataphracts as well, right?
Yeah, I think Grand Winery
might be
Hippodrome is the king.
Oh my God, you heard it. You heard it today, right now. Beasty just said it. And you know, I can already... S tier. We need a new landmark tier list immediately when he will go home. Everyone has to spam the chat like, Beasty, make a new landmark tier list. You have to. Well, yeah, that was amazing 3 games we had. So that's all the questions I had for you. Thank you so much for being here and showing that you are the Byzantine king with the hippodrome, because you are the first person who wins like that, right? So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And see you guys after a little bit of break.